Let's step through contouring. It's one of the questions I get asked all the time from people who are wanting help with their makeup application. And honestly, I do not overcomplicate it. I think there's so many contouring tutorials out there which are just over the top and we're not needing it for the everyday kind of makeup look. So on this side, I've already done my face. You can see this side is quite just the one shade. So it's all very white. All I've got on is my tinted moisturizer. I've got no shape in my face and I've also got no coloring. This side, I've applied my contour in just a few key areas I like to stick to, and it just gives me a bit of life to my face, a bit of shape and a bit of color. So all you need for this is I'm using my favorite bronze contour stick. If you want information on the product, let me know because it is available through me and I've got a number of shades to match you with, and a nice fluffy brush. I prefer cream products because they're just so much more hydrating, they blend so much easier, and they're just very forgiving compared to powder, so they're a great start point too. Okay, so we're going to start by finding the high point of our cheeks. I'm just using an eyeshadow brush and I'm going to go to the top of my ear and towards the bottom of my nose. Not down this direction, that's going to be too low, but towards the bottom of my nose, and above this area here is going to be the high point of my cheek. That's a really good spot to start with your first contour area. Now, when we are doing our cheek, we're not going to go too low. So we don't want to go to the iris of our eye, which is probably where you're going to go with blush, but with contour, you don't really want to bring that line down any further than the corner of your eye or even go further back to your brow. Okay, so with my contour cream stick, I'm just going to use my finger as a bit of a guide, and I'm just going to go straight in by drawing a line. Just like that. We can always start small and add more if we need. Now with my nice fluffy brush, I'm just going to start to bounce this product into place. I'm just going to move it around. It's going to evenly disperse on my brush, and I'm just going to bounce it into place, just remembering I'm not going to go lower than the corner of my eye. And then when I'm happy with that position, I'm just going to start to blend up. I'm not going to brush up and back. If I do up and back, I probably will start to draw it down naturally. So we're just going to brush up. So lift your brush and go up towards that hairline and bring the product through. If you feel like you need to calm it down, always have your foundation brush handy, and you can always just go over the top or over the edges if you don't want that real fine, like thick line. Another area I like to do is the top of my forehead. So it just helps bring my hairline down, so it makes my forehead appear that little bit smaller. If you don't have as much surface space though, you could definitely skip this area. But this one is nice and easy. We're basically just drawing like a crescent moon on the top of our forehead. If you have blonde hair or light hair, I would pin it back. Now I'm going to use the same brush and I'm just going to bounce it again into place, and then I'm going to start to brush up towards the hairline. And again, if you need to calm it down, just grab a foundation brush or a brush that doesn't have any of the product on it and just start to blend it out. So I generally tend to stop there. I generally just do the high points of my cheek and my forehead, and that's it. You don't need to do all the contouring lines. But another area that people generally like to do is under their jawline. So let me just show you how I would do that. Same method, starting from the back behind my ear and bringing it along my jawline bone. And again, using that same brush, I'm just going to bounce it into place. And then we can start to brush up towards the ear. And that is just going to give you more of a defined jaw. Another area people like to do is their nose, to make their nose appear that little bit more narrow. This one is nice and easy. I'm just going to do some little dashes along the side of my nose. And again, I'm going to grab that same brush, but this time I'm just going to use my fingers to flatten it. And I'm just going to grab myself a little mirror, and I'm just going to go down the sides of my nose. And then again, I'm going to go back to my foundation brush. We need to calm this down a little bit, and just to help blend it out. Generally, cream products are very pigmented, so start with a little bit. You can always add a little bit more if you need to by going in with a different layer. So generally that is all I do for contour, even less. I generally just do those two spots like I mentioned before. You don't need to have complicated contouring. It is not as scary as you think. From here, I could just leave it like this if I like, or I could do the full steps of adding a bit of blush or a bit of pink to my cheeks. For that, I would just be going along the same direction, but I'd bring it down a little bit further. And then you could also add some highlight, which again is just that little bit higher. But if you've got any questions, just let me know, and I hope that's been helpful.